Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
Fullest divine expression. Now, if we've come into our fullest divine expression post-karma, you're looking at about 10% of that fullest expression.
Okay.
Which is not a lot.
No.
It's still better than where you started. But we have to acknowledge the way in which our lives have been set up in our separation world. We can't shift out of them entirely without disrupting them too much. So we need to be able to accommodate more space to continue to exist within that separation framework. As in, I somehow need to exist within this framework, but as a larger part and version of myself, so I can have this greater divine expression. When we're going through our karmic undoing process, we keep saying, get to consciousness. Mm-hmm. Get to know that you are good enough. Because full body consciousness to higher consciousness is going to get you there. It's going to begin to rewire your brain and all of your bodies, bring them together so you can operate as one. And that consciousness is that illuminator to our path toward the divine. So the higher our consciousness, the more we can turn toward the divine and allow that expression to emerge. So we go from 10% to, say, 20%. We can move in such large increments, the more we can look toward the divine. But there's the emergence of and the expression of it, which then becomes differentiated once we're at a place of full divine expression. So when we go from 10% to about 80% of full divine expression.
Okay. And what is that?
And that goes from I am who I am, as in I know who I am to my very core. And in knowing who I am to my core, I can only be but me in every place, space in which I exist at any given moment. That's actually a tall order. Because remember in the earlier episodes where we talked about being extra, and we didn't really describe what being extra was, it's just being yourself.
Yeah.
But now we're actually breaking it down and saying what your actual self is, and that extra place is your fullest divine expression.
It goes from like the kind of like, I am who I am, so I'm going to have compassion for it. I know I'm always doing my best. I'm just going to keep going. It's okay. To, and that's kind of its emergence, right? It's kind of just like where I am is a sum total of where I was and where I want to be. And like, it's quite soft.
Yeah, it is.
And it goes to my very core, I am this, and I'm a warrior of it in some ways.
Yeah. I am a force to be reckoned with.
And weirdly, it takes humility, not force.
Mm-mm. No, it does require force to be this person.
Yeah.
Yes. I am a force to be reckoned with, as in you cannot sway me from being who I am. Mm-hmm. But I am humble enough to acknowledge where you are at too. I see you. That's the I thou.
It's beautiful.
It's challenging. But again, I think in what we talked about in the previous episode, the judgment, the way in which we've structured our lives around judgment and the opinions of others is really one of the things that holds us back from it.
And it's a really interesting shift because it's the shift between what I perceive to be your opinions and what I think you are, and what your opinions seem to be, to you are your own full person that is distinct from me. Yet I appreciate you for who you are.
Yeah.
Whilst also being me. And it's not something that I think you can do concertedly. I think it's something that just reveals itself. So it's not so much like, oh, I went through my karmic undoing process and I've learned all these things and I'm connecting the dots. Or it's not even like, oh, well, I can do some magic, so we're all part of some kind of
the all.
The all, therefore, like I'm part of the all, which is still cool because of the power stuff.
Yes.
But it's this, I can't be contained and you can't be contained either in some ways. You can contain yourself, but I must be me, and that can't change for anyone.
No.
And that's really actually, my experience of it was very different from what I would have thought it was if I'd heard it. If I'd heard it, I would have thought, oh, that means I've got to like weirdly go back to the rules. If that makes sense. Like, this is what I should be doing because I am me. You know, like, you've got to capitulate to me. I am here, blah, blah. But actually, my divine expression is one that's just really fucking loving and soft and strong in that. And it's very different from who I thought I should be. But it's very natural because it's who I am.
Our notions of power are so skewed by separation and how the ego can exist, like allows us to exist within the separation framework to keep us, good enough that we misunderstand what power looks like. Yeah. Which is why our divine self-expression or our full divine expression is so morphed, and why it's so small in terms of percentage, because we really don't understand, and we do not have that modeled for us. So we're not really sure how that comes out or comes to be.
And it kind of knocked, I'm not going to lie, it knocked me on my ass, that moment of humility. Because,
did it?
Yeah. So you think, oh, well, this is what power looks like. I put my foot down. I stand up for myself. All those things that we think.
Yes.
And they're all true. But then it's also that moment of, oh, wait a second. I see how beautiful this actually is. And how much actually a lot of the stuff that I thought was wrong or bad was actually so perfectly perfect. It requires a fuck ton of fearlessness, because I can't be anyone different than the core essence of me.
Yes.
And that core essence is actually pretty amazing, although it might be sometimes misunderstood. There's a fierceness and an unbendingness to that full self.
We become like this fully rooted tree. And I found that fascinating. So effectively, when we're looking at power in bliss, we're talking about divine expression, we're looking at divine will. So the reason why we cannot be contained is divine will cannot be contained. It has to be able to spread and enact its power in any direction it desires, to be able to reach and bring forward, as in draw to it, whatever it desires. So we cannot have buffers. We cannot have boundaries. We cannot have anything that could stand in the way of the energy going out, but that thing or whatever it is to come to us. It cannot be morphed. Yeah? Because everything is possible. We have to allow the possibilities for all things to show up. Does that make sense? So do you remember how in magic we taught that magic has to be really broad but also intentional?
Yes.
Yes. So it's like big and not big at the same time.
Yeah, that really, really clear thing.
That's super clear. Like you have to, because you have to know what you're magicking. So that's the intentional part.
But you can't dictate how it comes through.
Precisely. But you have to be clear about it in a broad enough way for it to come through.
And you just kind of follow the path, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got there.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you said, sometimes it's like, it's the thing that'll show up exactly when you need it as well. So sometimes it's not instantaneous. Sometimes it like will show up in a container exactly when it's required. Now, by the time you're getting to bliss, or you're in bliss, and you're working from divine will, so you're your fullest expression. I am fierce, I am unbending, I'm this fully rooted tree, if you will. When you are working from divine will, you do not need intentionality anymore. Because everything becomes the given, like we said in some earlier episode. But what my power is going to be used for is not just to enhance, like it is in magic. It is to fully create. And therefore, I cannot contain this because I need all the elements of creation at my disposal. And thus, I have to be as far-reaching as possible. Therefore, I cannot be contained because my power cannot be contained.
And that's not a bad thing.
Not at all. Not at all. We've only been taught that it's bad. Because then, you hurt others by taking up so much space. What about this other person who wants to exist next to you? Well, they can be as big as me. We have infinite space. We've only just been taught that that's not the case.
So I have to take space from you in order to give myself more space, which is not the case. Because I can give you space and give me... In the act of giving you space, I'm also giving myself space as well.
Well, vice versa. It's actually in the act of giving myself space to be me. I know what that requires, thus I can do that for you. But that is how our power's always been curbed, because we've always been taught there isn't enough room.
So then you get upset when you see someone like living their best life or living their true life, because you're like, you're taking up something from me. It's the scarcity mindset.
It's the scarcity mindset, precisely. And that's how power works.
And you get really triggered.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not in my full power, but they are. So that means they're taking power from me, which is not true. But that's the lie we've swallowed. So you're your unbending full self. cannot be contained because I need everything at my disposal to draw everything so I can create my new reality and this world in which I live. My connection to the all can never be severed. It can be in magic. I can acknowledge the all. I can connect myself to the all, to magic. But I don't necessarily I can kind of come in and out. But by this time, by bliss, that connection to the all cannot be severed. And thus, we will always have the connection to the wisdom that is contained within the all. That makes us the most powerful we can be while in body. That's how that works. Even in that expression, I cannot be me. That's still the smaller percentage of what divine expression is.
I cannot but be me, yeah.
But that's just still a smaller portion. There's something greater. And it's actually the level of consciousness where you're at that will allow you to really understand what this episode is about. Because if you're kind of coming from that place of maybe 10% divine expression, you're not going to get it. We're looking at about 80% divine expression. The point is that when we're looking at this, the firmly rooted tree of I am the divine, I have a connection to the all that can never be cut. It will be constant, which means I will always have this connection that is going to run through.
Okay.
Which means the knowledge and the wisdom I can access. All is you. Because that is the divine in that full embodiment. So if you can be that big without being large, because I'm never going to be big, I'm 5 feet tall, So I'm like, but if you could be that great in terms of that grandeur and take up that space while allowing space for everything else, my God, can you imagine what can be contained within that world? It's a lot greater than what we've known. So everything we go to prior to bliss is its prelude. The ways in which we experience or microdose our power and our wisdom. But we've only done so just to the extent where it doesn't destroy our lives. So ultimately, by bliss, we have to make the final choice. Even you've gone through the door in bliss, right? Like, I am open.
I'm many open. Choices in this whole...
So many choices. But by then, you're used to making these choices. They become almost instantaneous. Because like you said, I want more. The more is driving you all the time. And it's not because you can't be satiated. In many ways we can. We're like, oh, this is good. Like you said in the previous episodes, kind of like, things are so nice. And like we said, when you get to happiness, you're like, I'm happy. Do I need more? Maybe, maybe not. But there might be a part of you that wakes up one day is like, nope, damn it, I want more. I think I'm going to see what's on the other side of that door. And when you're on the other side of the door, you're like, oh, this is fine. It's kind of more of the same. Maybe a little bit better. And how much better do things need to be? I don't know. But as far as the journey that people aim to go through, and if they want to get to greater enlightenment, which is not for everyone, but will be because of our younger generations. Some of this has to do with the younger generations coming through, and they're already in magic. So they're already operating from great, full divine expression, whatever, right? So some are being born at 100%. So fuck, like, what are we just gonna like, they're at 100% and we're at like 10%? Fuck that. We're here to help create systems that will help those young ones and those future generations. So we need all of that knowledge. We need to become this embodiment. We need to understand what happiness is and what drives us, etc. We need to understand power better. And then once we do, that's where the choice comes. Do I give myself over to bliss so I can see myself in full bliss? And that's not surrender. That's not capitulation. It's the
harnessing the power and bringing it through you.
Exactly.
And directing it.
I give myself permission to create this connection.
And to be that powerful.
Why is it so hard when you're in body? Because you're undergoing complete alteration of self. And that is completely internal. That's why it's hard. I mean, if you think the karmic undoing process is hard, it is, but there's something satisfying. Like you said, every point along the way, you were like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. So it's like 2 parts like terrifying and crazy, but 1 part really satisfying in karma. As you start to realize your power, and then those numbers shift, where it's like 1 part terrifying, but 2 parts like exhilarating with all the experimenting. So by bliss, you're not terrified or anything. You're just like, you're finishing that transformation. And that is ultimately what many set out for. Like I said in the previous episode, we know from the time we're born, we're here for a change. And I don't mean it like, make that change, or, I'm going to change the world. But we're here because we have the power to transform, because we are transformative beings. But that gets stemmed because of life and separation. In bliss, you've reached that. And it is truly humbling and awesome, but makes you cry a little bit.
But why would you choose?
About it.
Can I ask a question? Why would you choose to do all of this and want all that more before all the stuff that you originally wanted hasn't finished coming to fruition?
I mean, that's the logical question. Yeah, for many people, that's the evidence. So it would be normal for a mental body person to ask that.
But also not even just that. It's just like there's still more to do in this season before you get to the next one.
The only answer I have for you, Rhea, is it's what I came for. I'm going to cry again.
Go for it. Go for it. Just keep crying. I'm just being my fullest expression back.
You are, and I'm respecting that, and I'm giving you space to be your greatest self. Nothing could be until I became. So we describe being as power, like the power to be and become. But by the time you're reaching this point of full divine expression and the becoming bit, it's not so much about power.
No.
It is about the openness to take this on.
Okay. And that's probably why not so many people want to do it.
You don't make this decision and be like, whoops, it's kind of a no take back sort of choice. And it's okay. It's not like, oh my God, you've doomed yourself if you make this choice.
Well, presumably you'll be happy you made it, regardless.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're going to be at a place where you are so happy that you're willing to make it. Because it's not going to feel like a trade-off. It's just going to feel like better and more. More in that respect. Not better, but more. But most people who are born before 2000, because they're born usually with karma, the karmic story, maybe deeper trauma. So if you're born before 2000, you will likely not want this.
Why?
Likely, but it's possible.
Why?
It's just so damn difficult. The level of divestiture is too much for many. So for those who might be dancing around the idea, they're going to want to, you're always going to do it on your terms. But for those who do choose it, they're going to choose it for 3 reasons. The first is that it's in their fate, right? So fate's the number one reason. It's written. The unwritten is written. And the second has to do with, commitment. So it's the complete and utter devotion to purpose. And so my purpose in many ways does not depend upon this, but is definitely going to benefit from it. And then the third bit is love. There you go. We bring love back. The kind of love that cannot be contained, but will permeate all things, which is pretty much what you were saying initially. So we seek its greatest expression to be able to experience love to its greatest degree. Imagine if you have an unsevered connection to the all. And you have love, as in you have the capacity to shine your light. And you're running all that wisdom. You're running all that knowledge. And you have all the energy required for bliss. How much fucking love comes out of that?
So much. You become like a love battery for the world.
Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah, I think it's fucking beautiful. You're like, oh, how nice. Like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, I'm not crying about it, but maybe I will eventually. This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.